was an understanding in our program that you're both an expert in your field, but you're also a practitioner in your field. And all of our professors kind of had that, but you were able to at least not just the persona, but really show us why, in depthly of like why that's important and multitask there. And so before we get into like really anything, can you just talk to me about what it means to become a true expert in the field and what it takes to do that?
Sure. Well, I mean, start with a hard question. I think the first thing I'd probably take issue with, which I guess everyone would, is the whole concept of the expert. It shouldn't be a static thing. You never stop learning. Every time you sort of allow your concepts and your precepts to fix, you stagnate and you die. So I think if I looked at anything that had helped me get to where I am now, it's probably the fact that I've always had a little bit of imposter syndrome. And so I've always wanted to listen to other people because I'm sure that they know more than me. And the more you listen and the more that you sort of network and communicate, actually you find that sometimes some of the best things you can do, some of the best expertise is linking people, linking them to data, to other people, to resources. And so in a strange way, that expertise isn't necessarily about some phenomenal academic research. And, there are people who are far, far better at me in terms of their research output, but about actually identifying the problems and connecting people with the solutions, which is, it's lovely to see that that's something that you've gone into heavily yourself as well.
Well, I think the trick is, so between you and Rodney Melsick, who's been on the show, somebody I definitely can't claim as one of my mentors. He's actually with me at Doberman. He is a legend. And, when I first met him, he's an interesting guy, right? Like, he's not an A-type personality. And it really shocked me at the time before I was learned, if you can say that. I was like, who is this guy? And then he started working. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is why. He is a legend because he's the best. He really is the best. And he's been doing it forever. But the thing that got me about him was his ability to keep learning. Many, our field is driven by A-type personalities for a good reason. We want to get the job done. But it's also a major hindrance because as soon as we all get bullheaded, we think our way is the right way. You're right, like, it's stagnant. And like Rodney would say, like, no, we're going to get the job done, but like there's more out here. And he would be learning at a faster rate than anybody else. And I think it only perpetuated the more he knew. The more he knew, the more he knew where he didn't know. He knew what he didn't know, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely does. I mean, I have to say, his lecture to the program still is probably one of my favorite talks from anyone. Although my focus has always been about counterterrorism, and his talk was mainly about emergency management. Those principles that he gave you as a class in terms of what things you can take forward as ways to approach your job, they were just incredible, timeless, and also a phenomenal speaking style for anyone who ever had the chance to speak to him. He just walked around the class, just engaging with people. And the thing that hit me more than anything else is that he did that classic thing that you see with great leaders. He asks a bit about you, which is a connection. So, where are you from? I've been there. Yeah, that's really interesting. And before you know it, although, like you say, not a classic alpha type, I call him a stealth alpha, because he kind of gets you following him, but you don't really realize he's doing it to you.
Amazing.
And again, I think that folds back to the key aspect of expertise is if you can get people engaging for you, working for you, and wanting you to succeed, then that's half the battle. Because if you're having to try and pull information all the time and constantly having to work to get that information, that limits you. Whereas if you can do the Rodney trick of just getting everyone to want to help you, then it's half the battle.
Okay, real talk. If we have another discussion about what leadership is, I might die inside. I've had so many, like between my master's and my undergrad, and talking about trying to become an expert. Like, I don't care to become an expert in leadership anymore. Like, I'm so tired. Oh, there's so many different types of leadership. You look at Rodney Melsick, you look at Steve Johnson, you look at like some of these other real leaders, and I think it's really easy. I think it might be hard actually to identify what a leader is until you see someone who's not a leader.
Yeah,
And it's like,
obvious.
oh, don't do that, like X, Y, and Z, like don't do that, like hard talk. So, like in that same vein though, with Rodney, one thing he does is he's able to not just connect with a person, but he's able to make a personal connection. I asked him, how is it that you're able to remember names so easily? And he's like, I love movies. So when I see a person, I see the movie. You know, if I meet Steve, I'm going to associate it with Steve Jobs, the movie, right? And so he's able to go through, and that's how he visualizes the room. And I've never seen anybody so well just like remember details about people, especially their name. And then when you call people by their name, it makes them like, oh, it makes them feel important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Steve.
Sorry, I've fast good working. I've kind of diverted you there off of the CBRN topic, which
No, it's fine.
You know, that's probably synonymous with CBRN. As the moment people look at CBRN, they try and find something not CBRN to talk about on it, because no one wants to talk about actual CBRN. So it becomes, no, this is a management challenge or a leadership challenge, or
hilarious.
This is just health.
Okay, so let's talk about it then, because